everybody, welcome to StraightA. Dawson here, and we're here with our week 2 of the NFL recap. And man, this is not the week for me. Fantasy, everything has just been down dumps. My predictions, hella wrong. Shouldn't say hella wrong. Got 8 right, 8 wrong. But compared to everybody else, hella wrong. This week has been an up and down, and honestly for the players too. The games were up and down, as well as a lot of the injuries and tragedies of the week as well. I'm doing this right off the cusp of Nick Chubb's injury. Be praying for him, guys, or whatever you guys want to do. Be thinking about him. That was a pretty bad hit. So hopefully he recovers well and is able to come back and do what he really sets his mind out to do here in the NFL. So prayers go out to him. But nevertheless, we move on here in NFL Week 2. We're going to be covering over all the stats and how the games performed and how my thought process is going with each of these teams. We'll probably be talking about the 0-2 and 2-0 teams in a future video. But either way, we're going to be talking about the games as they are right now, as they finished. So first up is the Minnesota Vikings going to the Philadelphia Eagles. And man, this game actually was a lot of fun. It was kind of boring at first because the Eagles were kind of kicking some butt. But the Vikings actually really managed to make this very interesting. Kirk Cousins, I've always been someone who supported Kirk Cousins. I really have. And I'm glad people are starting to appreciate him more because he is just a solid QB. He's a QB who's probably even more than I give it credit for. But it's also because of the talented offensive cast I think he has around him. Beside the point, they didn't really have much of a run game. Justin Jefferson still, doing what Justin Jefferson does. Jordan Addison looking great out there. T.J. Hawkinson also, by the way, really got involved. Especially near the end. Defense put a little bit of pressure, especially Hunter. Was it Danielle Hunter? Is it Danielle Hunter? Something like that. Danielle Hunter put a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts and the Eagles' offense, but in the end, it wasn't enough. They looked really good in defeat. I will say a lot better in their Buccaneers loss. But moving on and kind of seeing what the Philadelphia Eagles really look like. Jalen Hurts didn't have too much of a game, just whatever game. DeAndre Swift, of course, coming into the game after, Kenneth Gainwell was out for the week. So DeAndre Swift really took advantage of that, and it's going to make it hard for him not to be the RB1 there, which I'm hoping so, because, again, selfishly, now that Nick Chubb's out, I do have DeAndre Swift as my RB1 on my team, so that's going to go well. Either way, beside the point. In the receiving game, Devonta Smith has been the story there. Dallas Goedert also kind of getting involved. But A.J. Brown still kind of not doing anything too much, while the Eagles' defense, I think, put a lot of pressure, but not a whole lot more than that. Maybe a little bit of pressure, but overall the Vikings' defense actually held out decently well when it comes to the D-linemen. So Eagles still showing that they got the fight in them, and the Vikings showing that they are more than what they seemed in Week 1. Another really good game, Packers at Falcons, was actually really fun. I really love seeing both these QBs and both these offenses kind of going at each other. Solid defenses, more defensive line for Green Bay. Well, I guess kind of a good secondary too. And the Falcons are really good secondary versus these two very young bucks when it comes to quarterbacks. Jordan Love looked, this game was kind of hard. He looked good. He looked fine. But, his completions got to go up, but he capitalized on moments that really mattered in getting the touchdowns, and that's what really mattered for him. Other than that, the rush game wasn't really there without Aaron Jones. The receiving, again, was all over the place, and defense, again, was just serviceable. They got a pick, but that was about it. On the Falcons side, of course, it's really fun watching Desmond Ridder, but, man, is he really the person they look for the Falcons? I don't think so. He looks fine. He looks serviceable, but below serviceable almost. So take that as you will. The run game is really what really made the Falcons unstoppable here. Between Algier and Robinson, they really killed this game, especially with Robinson, I believe, having just a really consistent game too when it comes to on the ground. When it came to on the ground, I should say. Drake London doing Drake London stuff too, doing very well. Defense from the Falcons as well, better in the secondary, but again, more pressure than anything else. Good, solid game. I think the Falcons, again, are a team that people need to be really looking for. If they can get that QB situation under control, they could be really scary. But the Packers as well, they're the same kind of case there. I just think the Falcons have a lot more potential overall on the team outside of QB. Either way, moving on to the Colts at Texans. Actually, fun game. Colts really came out really strong, and then the Texans kind of ended a little bit more strong. So that was really, really awesome to see. Of course, another story behind this is Anthony Richardson. also is currently injured. We don't know exactly what yet, or at least I didn't look into it before this video. So hopefully he's all right. Hopefully he picks it back up next week. But Gardner Minshew came out there and really did solid. But Anthony Richardson, by the way, in his one quarter that he was out there, got like 17 fantasy points. So kind of cool to see. And he did do, fine for when he was out there. Not really too much to grade on there. But Gardner Minshew just came out there, was serviceable, and actually really did really solid in his completions, and even got a touchdown there. So take that as you will. Rushing game, of course, Zach Moss is kind of the story there. Besides Anthony Richardson, without Anthony Richardson really throwing the ball too much this game, there really wasn't much in the receiving. No Michael Pittman's big story or anything. Defense of the Colts, of course, against a Texans O-line, which is probably the weakest part of the team. There was a lot of pressure from them on the Texans offense. So take that as you will. C.J. Stroud looks really good this week. Really solid. He's starting to look already more in tune with the NFL. Granted, it's against a weaker Colts defense. Not saying weak. I'm saying a more weaker defense compared to the Ravens last week. So C.J. Stroud putting up numbers he did. 384 yards. Quite impressive. And 2 touchdowns with no picks. Pretty good start for C.J. Stroud. If they can really get clicking, they'll be great. The rushing from the Texans was really nothing. But Nico Collins is obviously one of the favorite targets to C.J. Stroud this week. So really cool to see good Nico Collins and Robert Woods, honestly, kind of getting a lot of work. A lot of people you don't really see much from. Dalton Schultz even getting a little bit of love. So really awesome to see. Will Anderson it still looks like a beast out there, even against a Colts offensive line. Otherwise, the Texans defense really didn't do too much. They put a lot of pressure, but again, that was just about it, making the Colts look a little nervous. But otherwise, the Texans defense really came in near the end. Otherwise, not too much from there. Seattle Seahawks in their comeback game. I shouldn't say comeback, but I should say like their rejuvenation game. Everybody was kind of scared of week 1, including myself, about Geno Smith and everybody. And I'm not saying my worries aren't still there, but Geno Smith showed that, hey, I'm still Geno Smith from last year. I can do it. Just had to get a week going on. Geno Smith put up the numbers he could, actually probably above what he did last year. The rushing game, again, really nobody's rushing game this week is really too strong now that I think about it. But either way, the receiving game, again, was kind of a lot of love in the upper ranges. Of course, DK, Tyler Lockett, especially Tyler Lockett getting a lot of love after his last week, so good on him. Otherwise, the defense, it improved from last week. Not too much to say about it, I guess. It was against the Lions offense, which I guess also helped quell it, but it was a large scoring game, so it's more of an offensive story than defensive story. Poor Jared Goff, his no interception games, things like a lot. He's going towards the records of not throwing interception per game or per play or something, or per reception. So that was really fun, but it finally ended here with his first pick in a while, but still put up the numbers and still did very, very good. No blame is on Jared Goff for this one. The run game for this wasn't really there either, but the receiving game, of course, Amon St. Brown got involved, Sam Laporta, everybody kind of did pretty well. Jahmyr Gibbs even got some love in the receiving game, so take that as you will. And the defense for the Lions, again, not really too much for me to say here. I didn't see too much impressive, like, oh, I need to note that type stuff. So, oh well. Moving on, we have the Los Angeles Chargers facing off against the Tennessee Titans. What do I say about this Chargers, man? I don't even, like, looking at these numbers right now, because I saw the game, but this is the first time I'm looking at the numbers. Keenan Allen, by the way, doing really cool, really good. 2 touchdowns, 111 yards. Really good to see him getting really involved in the game. Gerald Everett also doing really solid. Even the defense, look at the sacks they had. 5 sacks. And I just don't know how you blow this game. I don't know how. 1 minute I was looking and Chargers were actually up a decent bit, but not like by much, like still just a score. And until all of a sudden Tennessee Titans are then up. Justin Herbert even had a very, very solid game. And then you look at the Titans over here. You got Tannehill, who had a better game, much better game than last week. Touchdown, good amount of yards. Derrick Henry ran the ball a lot. Everything seemed very solid. The receivers even got overall involved on the Tennessee side. Defenses looked horrendous, though. So I don't know how the Chargers didn't score more points. I don't know how Tennessee got through. It's just one of those things that just is over my head. And at that point, I just blame the coaching staff. Of course, that's not a good default thing to do. It's also on the team, chemistry, and everything as well. But for some reason, this was just horrible. I don't know what the play calling was to mess this up this bad. But yeah, the Chargers took the L here, and I'm not looking too well in their future here with how bad some of these calls are. These cannot hold a lead worth anything, especially against Tennessee Titans, who should have been an easier win for them. So take that as you will, take it in stride and move on. Moving on to the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Buffalo Bills. Raiders had a game. I guess that's the best way to describe it. This looked a lot more like the team that I expected from the season than the last week's game against the Broncos. Granted, it's divisional, so it's a little bit closer. But this game, I mean, Devontae Adams got a little bit better of a involvement in there. Jimmy G looked like Jimmy G is what we're used to. Defense was fine, not much though, not really that good. Then you look at the Bills, and they're pretty much back. Josh Allen showed, hey, don't count me out. I'm him here. I'm him. Not as involved in the rushing game as he was last week, but his overall rushing game from James Cook especially, holy crap, 123 yards on 17 attempts. Really solid. And even only the long being 36 yards shows that James Cook just got those breakout runs. And I thought against a defensive line against the Raiders, maybe that wouldn't be as prominent. Dead wrong. But Josh Allen, either way, found Gabe Davis for the end zone. And then, of course, got Dalton Kincaid involved, Stephon Diggs. Everybody's getting some love on the Buffalo Bills. Defense actually probably didn't do as much in terms of numbers, but they looked good. I don't know how to describe it. They don't, of course, they got 2 interceptions, I guess, and a forced fumble. I guess that's a lot now that I look at it. But on the tackling side, the sack side of things, they really didn't get to Jimmy G a whole lot. It's just, they look good. They look like they were putting pressure. They look like they know what they're doing. The Buffalo Bills are showing that they're still the Buffalo Bills, while there's some other teams like the Chiefs and Bengals who are not really showing who they are just yet. So it's really good for the Bills this year and their expected outcome. So I have high hopes now for the Buffalo Bills going forward, now that they got the momentum back up and Josh Allen feels good again. Feel very solid about the Buffalo Bills. Raiders, we'll see as their weeks come on how they really stack up. Moving on to one of the most disappointing games of the week. Of course, this was my game of the week in terms of, I'm going to pay most attention to it. Watched the game, and I honestly switched over. I forgot even what game I switched over to midway through, just because it just was one thing after another to just changing. The ball kept on changing hands from a forced fumble, a bad kickoff, not bad kickoff, but like a bad reception to a kickoff, interception. It just was so bad by the first half. And I was like, I'm just going to put this off. And I was watching because of my parlay for Calvin Ridley. And I was like, I'm done. I don't care about my parlay anymore. And whatever. I forgot who even got the first touchdown. But it just was it was a dreadful game to watch, at least in that first half. The second half apparently was a little bit better, but take that as you will. Seeing the numbers, Patrick Mahomes put up numbers you're used to, so take that as you will. Run game was fine. It was good, actually, from Isaiah Pacheco. Receiving game, everybody got a little bit involved. Travis Kelce, not as much. Story, there you go. Travis Kelce did get the touchdown, though, so give him that. The defense from the Chiefs looked very good. Both defenses looked very solid this game. I'll say that. That's about it. From the Jaguar side of things, Trevor Lawrence played pitiful. I shouldn't say pitiful. He just didn't play to what we're used to. Definitely below par when it came to that. Christian Kirk didn't even realize he got a fucking pass. What the heck? All right, for -1 yard too. Heck yeah, good for him. Rushing game, there's nothing really too much to be said there. The receiving game, Christian Kirk, it kind of proved me back right again, I guess, that Christian Kirk actually got involved a lot this game for what we expected last week after seeing last week. So it's good to see that he's still involved. Him, Ingram, and Ridley seem like a good 3, plus with Travis Etienne in the backfield. Seems like a very solid, scary offense if they can get things going. I don't know what happened this game, whatever. The Jaguars, of course, got 2 forced fumbles, an interception, and a sack. Again, the defenses from both these teams looked very, very good, especially against some impressive offenses. Hopefully they go back to normal this next week. We'll see. I'm not probably going to be as much looking forward to a Kansas City Chief or Jacksonville Jaguar game, but I still have high hopes for these teams because Chiefs typically start off slow. The Jaguars, I think, have a lot of momentum building up behind them, so take that as you will and move forward. The Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals looked better. They're not quite there yet, but they looked better. There's an improvement from last week in Joe Burrow's 87 yards. But the Ravens also looked very good. Lamar Jackson showed a lot more promise, involvement in the run game too. That was important to see, especially with his 12 attempts. I didn't even realize it was 12. But he had good pass attempts. He got solid yards, good touchdowns. He looked safe. He looked like he was coming back to his own a little bit. So that was good to see. The run game, otherwise, outside of Lamar Jackson, is serviceable. Gus Edwards looked good. The receiving game, Nelson Aguilar coming back from the dead, wherever he was from. Mark Andrews getting his touchdown. Odell Beckham kind of being out there. Take that as you will. Zay Flowers also looked very good out there. He didn't get a touchdown this game, but man, he looks good. So take that as you will. Moving on to the Ravens defense, not as impressive this game, but they didn't really need to be against the Bengals, who I feel like fumbled the ball a little bit, not literally, but kind of fumbled the game a little bit. Joe Burrow looked better, but not quite himself just yet. Joe Mixon got more involved, but not quite as much. T. Higgins had a comeback game, got his 2 touchdowns. So after having 0 points last week, he got all the love here in this game. Jamar Chase still hasn't got a whole lot of love. Tyler Boyd. It's just the receiving game does not have it there yet. I don't know what's going to go on. The defense of the Bengals pretty much non-existent. It almost felt like Lamar Jackson had all the time in the world. From everything I saw, not literally the whole game, but like a majority of the game, Lamar Jackson felt like he just was, owning the Bengals defense. So take that as you will. I don't think they got anything outside of a couple tackles. I thought they got a sack, but I guess they didn't. It just was. It was a weird game. I'm getting higher on the Ravens now after this game. The Bengals, they don't start winning here next 1 or 2 games. Some worries are about to start setting in, so who knows. Moving on to go to the Chicago Bears and the Buccaneers. I really had high hopes. I really, going into this game, really believed in Justin Fields. I said this is going to be Justin Fields' game. If he's going to make something of himself, he's got to do it here. I'm not quite giving up, but I'm not going to be just the not bandwagoner, but I'm not going to just be fighting for the Bears every week and saying, hey, they're a good team. Oh, they're fine. I mean, they're going to do just okay. They're just, man, it wasn't even really, I guess it was kind of Baker. Baker looked really good this game too. Beside the point. The rushing game, like, they didn't even try on the ground a whole lot. Justin Fields, he didn't even run the ball a whole lot. I guess he ran in for a touchdown, I guess. He completed 55% of his passes, whatever. 2 interceptions that looked really bad. His receiving game, DJ Moore was the love in this game. Chase Claypool did get a touchdown, the best receiver in the league, of course. Otherwise, he just did not look good. The Bears defense looked pitiful as well. Like, they did get a forced fumble. I do remember that. But outside of that, Baker looked very, very, very solid. My hopes are getting up there for Baker. I don't know when they're going to come crashing down, but I'm expecting it soon. Otherwise, I might lose it this season because Baker Mayfield might win a Super Bowl. No, just kidding there. But the rushing game overall looked really good from the Buccaneers. Mike Evans looked freaking amazing with Baker Mayfield. They look like they just have a connection. I don't know what about it. Mike Evans might have a career year from Baker Mayfield throwing to him, and I'll be very surprised. Outside of that, everybody else got a little bit of love. The defense from the Buccaneers looked so good. And I know they're not a great defense. They have a great O-line. Well, they don't have a great O-line. They have an okay O-line. The defense looked great, and I don't believe they're an amazing defense. Well, holy crap, that Chicago Bears O-line made them look amazing. Great coverage, even on the receivers of the Bears. Man, the Bucs look kind of good, man. I'm kind of scared to see what their record's going to end up being, because it might be better than a lot of people expect. So we'll see. Moving on to the 49ers at Rams. A lot better of a game than I think a lot of people were expecting, because the Rams usually don't match up well against the 49ers, at least in recent years. Brock Purdy did not look as good. I don't know whether there's a Rams defense putting pressure on him or if it was just bad game for him, or not as bad, but like just an off game. Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel. Actually, Brock Purdy rushed it in. I didn't even realize that. All got their love on the rushing game, which, of course, from the 49ers, what can you expect? Especially against a weaker Rams D-line outside of Aaron Donald, so take that as you will. The receiving game, again, was kind of just a little bit of love from everybody, just because Brock Purdy didn't have the best game receiving-wise, or passing-wise, I should say. Defensively, look good. 49ers look good. I mean, they're the 49ers. I don't know what else to tell you on defense. They look maybe a little off, but that's about it. Granted, it's a divisional rival and all that. Matthew Stafford threw the ball a heck of a ton. He did throw for 2 interceptions, but one of them was kind of not his fault, so I'm not going to take that as you will. 307 yards, though. What's called a touchdown. Rushing was almost non-existent for them, really, like a lot of other teams. Puka Nacua, story of the century right now, doing really solid out of nowhere. Curious to see when Cooper Kupp comes back what his role will be, but good receiving line, honestly, from a lot of these players, so that's really cool to see. Rams defense overall, outside of Aaron Donald, And a couple other little sparks of notes here, not really too much of to really say here. The Rams I expect to do a lot better than people kind of expect, again, kind of with the previous statement of the Buccaneers. But I don't see them going too much higher than expectations, if that makes sense. 49ers still looking very solid, but a little bit weaker against a divisional rival. Take that as you will. I don't even want to talk about this game. Holy crap. My one prediction for the week that I was actually proud of for like a good solid half of this game was the Cardinals winning, because I was like, you know what, Cardinals have to pick up a win. They have to pick it up against a Giants team who's got no momentum. It's 20-0. Cardinals had it won. Their defense actually looked good. The offense looked good. Everything looked good from the Cardinals. And then all of a sudden the Giants just somehow came back and won. I don't know. Whatever. Take that as you will. Daniel Jones in the second half looked great. Daniel Jones in the first half looked horrible. Those stat lines are, take that as you will. Rushing, Saquon, I believe, is hurt for 3 weeks, so that will be kind of a hurt to their rushing game, but really there wasn't much in this game anyway. Receiving game, a lot of people got a lot of love. Darren Waller, Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, everybody got a little bit of love from Daniel Jones, especially in the second half. Again, I'm going to clarify that. And again, even the Giants defense, I think even in the second half, really just did three and stops, basically. I think the Cardinals had they had 3 plays, and obviously they punted. Outside of that, they didn't do anything, especially in the first half. But in the second half, they managed to just stop the Cardinals before they even got going. So take that as a dub, I guess. Joshua Dobbs looked good. He looks like a suitable freaking quarterback. At least the Giants made him look like one in the first half. Again, the first half. The rushing game from the Cardinals looked really, really good in the first half. The receiving game looked overall fine. The defense, again, looked really good in the first half. But, man, it was non-existent in the second half. I don't even know what to say. I was so proud of this pick when I was watching this game. Well, not really watching. I was kind of observing the game as I was checking in and out of it. But yeah, just the Cardinals, man. They might just be the worst team in the NFL if they lost to the Giants this way. I hope the Giants don't go above like 6-11 though, just because this game made me hate them. Not really, but kind of made me hate them. It's more like a ugh type hate. So hopefully they do fine going forward, but whatever. This game was just kind of a mind blown to me. Moving forward, New York Jets at the Cowboys. Not a whole lot to say here. Zach Wilson. Yeah, I gave him hope. I gave him hope in the beginning. He did get that off to a very bad start against a really strong Cowboys defense, but man, you can't be throwing 12 for 27 and 3 interceptions. Because I would say that the secondary, the Cowboys are still good, but not like elite. And yet, granted, I guess one of the interceptions was like a hit on the go. Like basically, he was getting sacked in the middle of it, still threw it. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Rushing game non-existent, receiving game non-existent, pretty much. Garrett Wilson, I guess, got a touchdown. Sorry. Defensively, Jets could not match up to the Cowboys' offensive line and Cowboys' offense in general. Dak Prescott looked like $1 million out there, showed how good he can be on offense. Tony Pollard not doing too much this game. CeeDee Lamb kind of having a little come-up game again, showing like, hey, you know, I exist. Otherwise, outside of CeeDee, really wasn't much. Defensively, again, I mean, you expect these kind of numbers from the Cowboys. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised they didn't get more, but take that as you will. Cowboys looked really good. Jets, I think, are going to have a lackluster season after the unfortunate news from Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully he comes back healthy eventually, but probably not anytime soon. Time for the other game that made me super mad. I will go ahead and just say this right now. The big call was, or the big controversy from this one is that, hey, Russell Wilson, we actually managed to get a Hail Mary pass for the end zone. And then we got screwed on a 2-point conversion. We shouldn't have been in that point in the first place. We blew like a 14-point lead, I think it was, maybe a 17-point lead. I forgot exactly. And we just blew it. It just was awful. Our defense has not looked this bad in years. Honestly, our offense looks better than our defense for probably the first time in years. And it's just, whatever. The Washington Commanders didn't play badly either. I shouldn't say that. The Washington Commanders are starting to kind of move up in my head like, man, they're actually looking kind of good. Again, against the Broncos defense, what you expect more of. Brian Robinson, good run game this game. Receiving, lots of love. Sam Howell actually looked good, like really good. The defense from the Washington Commanders, made like the offensive line of the Denver Broncos, made them look like $1 million. Russell Wilson's 1 interception, you know, take that as you will. Looking at the Broncos scoring, man, if you look at the stats of Russell Wilson in the first half, they look so good, but then everything kind of crumbled apart. The important thing to note here is that we are 0-2. The Broncos are 0-2. They look like a good 0-2 team. They look like they shouldn't be 0-2. And honestly, with both their games being 2 scores, I think this one 2 points and the last game 1 point, they look really good. Now, granted, these are 2 games they should win if they want to even get close to a playoff berth or anything, or they just want to go for the first round pick, whatever. But Russell Wilson looked really good. I would hate to see kind of losing that momentum with Russell Wilson, who it looks like he's kind of not back to his prime, but is kind of touching that area again. Marvin Mims as well was also a very big story there. Touchdown, 113 yards, big pass to him middle of the game. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy really didn't get a whole lot of love this game. Brandon Johnson making that big play near the end for 2 touchdowns, by the way, overall. Defensively, you know, I was a little bit harsh to the Broncos defense. They did put up numbers. They did fine. It's just I guess I'm just overall angry for letting the Commanders get as much momentum as they did. They did fine enough. I shouldn't say they looked awful, but especially in that second half, they looked awful. I think most of these numbers actually come from the first half. So I don't know what it is with our coaching staff. Hopefully they fix it around. The Broncos, I don't expect a whole lot more, to be honest with you. I'm kind of getting off the train a little bit and saying, you know what, let's move on and wait for next season. While the Washington Commanders, they have a lot to look forward to, I think. I think they're able to keep the momentum going forward. They could see a lot of success this season, so we'll see how it goes. Moving on to Miami Dolphins at the New England Patriots. Kind of a fine game. This was not a notable game for me. Tua obviously was not going to get the game he did last week. He still did solid, though. Like, you can't be mad with the numbers he put up. Raheem Mostert, freaking solid-ass game today. Jalen Waddle got a lot more love this game, and Tyreek Hill, of course, got the touchdown. Oh, outside of that, not really much. Defensively, again, against the Mac Jones offense and a fine offensive line from the Patriots, the defense of the Dolphins looked really, really good. A lot more solid than I thought they were. Apparently, they're a better defense than I thought they were, I guess. I didn't have them ranked. I have them more in the middle of the pack, but they might be closer to top half. So, kind of showed me this game. Of course, the Bill Belichick team here, not really a whole lot to really talk about, to be honest. I don't remember that much to be notable, I guess. The defense looked fine against... The defensive line looked fine. The secondary, they did fine, actually pretty well against a really hard covering receiving duo. What's called the offense for the Patriots looked consistent. This is kind of what I expect from them. I expect each receiver to put about 30 to 50 yards, and I expect Mac Jones to throw about 70% of his passes, get a touchdown, probably throw a pick eventually, and the rushing have about 50 yards for... This is the game I expect from them on offense. So, 17 points to 24, not unrealistic for their team. So, take that as you will. Not too much notable from this game, but good to see the Dolphins that they can have. They have what's called flexibility when it comes. They don't have to be just explosive. They can have these consistently good games, especially divisional rivals. So, awesome. Game tonight. I didn't really catch too much of this one, so I'm kind of seeing the stats. But I, of course, know the result, and I know some of the notable stuff. Derek Carr didn't have a very good game at all, apparently, and obviously the stats show. It's fine. I mean, you got to think it's a divisional rival at the Panthers. We'll see. Hold my disgruntlement, but a little bit worrisome. Taysom Hill came in, apparently. Cool enough. Rushing. Wow. What the heck? Taysom Hill got a lot of rushing love, too. Whoa. Nice. All right, good for Taysom Hill. You know what? A lot of love to him. Defense from the Saints actually put a lot of pressure on Bryce Young, though. So, really, really cool to see. Not too much notable, though, it looks like. Bryce Young, from what my friend told me, looked better, but not really. So, take that as you will. The run game really wasn't there. The receiving game doesn't look like there was much note there. And the defense looks like it's very defensively heavy in some aspects. A lot of sacks. It looks like 2017, I guess, makes sense. But divisional rival game apparently is fun enough. I guess I did catch near the end of it, but I really didn't pay much attention to it. But looks fine. Saints I think have a real chance of being a really good team, while Panthers I think will just pick up steam near the end. They'll kind of be a team that goes 2-5, but then end up going 9-8 or something along those regards. Not the exact numbers, but I have a lot of hopes for them in the future of the season. Moving on to the last game, of course, the Cleveland Browns at the Steelers again. Thoughts go out to Nick Chubb. Prayers go out to Nick Chubb for his recovery. Really hoping he does well. Jerome Ford did get some love here now, kind of come into it. Deshaun Watson did not look good. Kind of looked good in the beginning, did not look good near the end. This is a game I did watch actually a little bit though. Receiving, I didn't think Amari Cooper was going to play, but he went out and he looked good. Other than that, receiving game was fine. Defense from the Browns, honestly, just was fine, suitable. And then the Steelers looked really, really good. I'm not going to lie, the defense especially. I don't even know their numbers exactly. 6 sacks. Whew. TJ Watt got one of those. Interception, a lot of forced fumbles. I do know they got a lot of forced fumbles. And offense, George Pickens looked really good. Kenny Pickett, I'm not going to say looked good. I'll be honest. I'm kind of disappointed in his game today, but it was good enough to make it by. Najee got a little bit of love. Other than that, kind of not too impressed at the Browns. I don't know how this will hurt their momentum with Nick Chubb being out, and Deshaun Watson not looking very good. I'm kind of getting a little bit lower on the Browns a little bit and showing they got some weaknesses now, especially if their defense doesn't hold up through every game. Could be pretty bad. But the Steelers show that between coaching staff, a good defense, a suitable offense, especially with a suitable quarterback, they can make some motions in this league, and they can actually possibly go for that 9-8 spot and make a playoff run. Who knows? With Mike Tomlin, anything's possible. So pretty cool to see. And that was kind of week 2 overall for the NFL season. Really fun week. Really disappointing week for me. Kind of like a little down week. I'll need a day of kind of recovering a little bit. But outside of that, I do have a fun little series I'm gonna keep up and start doing for Mondays now. I don't know whether I'm gonna be able to produce it enough in time for Monday. It's kind of a longer type video in terms of producing, and I don't know how much editing I'll have to put into it just yet. So kind of be looking out for that, possibly next Monday or the Monday after that. Otherwise, join us in our predictions, our power rankings, stuff like that. I'll probably even try to put out 6 videos a week, depending on how much content me and the boys are able to produce, because I want to do another video with them. It feels weird only doing predictions and power rankings with them. I want to do a little bit more. I want to do like a topic of the week, and this week's topic, I really want to be kind of focused on this last week of football in a way, without talking about the teams directly and just kind of giving our opinions. Beside the point. This has been really fun. I've really enjoyed this channel so far. Look forward to the parlays. I got some fun little ideas I want to do. I'm going to implement probably another little parlay. I'm really enjoying this channel and how much I'm really engaging with my knowledge of football and kind of teaching myself in a lot of regards, while also trying to produce the content hopefully for anybody to enjoy that comes and views it. So if you want to stick around and watch the videos, feel free. We got some videos that we produce, again, 5 to 6 videos a week. Thank you guys for watching, and StraightA Dawson is out. Take care, guys.